Well, welcome everyone to the Cultivate Michigan How to Join webinar. My name is Catherine Colasanti. I'm a specialist with the Michigan State University Center for Regional Food Systems and joined by my colleague. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Megan Thompson. I'm the data manager for Farmington Institution here at the Michigan State Center for Regional Food Systems.
And also with us is Colleen Matz at the Center for Regional Food Systems. Colleen will be moderating questions or comments as they come in. So we have a pretty small group today, so feel free to put a question in and we'll try to keep track of those as we go along and respond accordingly. There's two ways to do that. If you scroll to the top of your screen, there's a Q&A box, and then there's also a chat box. So either way, you can put in any question or comment, and we will try to respond to those as we go. And I should say Colleen Matz is the co-coordinator of the Michigan Farm to Institution Network behind this campaign. So our goal in today's webinar is that by the end, everyone will have a clear understanding of what the Cultivate Michigan campaign is and how you can participate. So we'll start with just a little bit of context, talk about what the campaign itself is, how participation works, and then walk through in detail the actual sign-up process. So moving on here, just a word on context. The Cultivate Michigan campaign is motivated by the vision of the Michigan Good Food Charter for a food system in Michigan that is rooted in local communities and centered on good food. This idea that food should be healthy, green, fair, and affordable. So the charter sets out a roadmap for how to get to that vision and lays out 6 specific goals to move towards that vision by 2020, including one specifically calling for institutions to source 20% of their food from Michigan. So we strongly believe that the timing is right to address the challenges of reaching this good food vision in Michigan, and really believe that institutions have a key role to play in reaching this vision. Just another context note for the campaign, the Michigan Farm to Institution Network is the people and the organizational structure behind the Cultivate Michigan campaign. The network is co-coordinated by the Center for Regional Food Systems and the Ecology Center with support from Michigan State University Extension. So we're not going to talk a lot about the network today, but just know that by joining Cultivate Michigan, you'll gain access to this group of people who are all interested in moving towards increased institutional sourcing of local food. So whether you just want to stay in the loop with a monthly newsletter or get actively involved in one of the subcommittees, we'd love to have you. So what is Cultivate Michigan? So as I mentioned, one of the goals of the charter is that by the year 2020, 20% of food served in Michigan institutions will come from Michigan. So Cultivate Michigan is a local purchasing campaign that supports this goal and helps institutions to track their local purchasing. So when we say institutions, we mean schools, school districts, colleges and universities, early childhood programs, hospitals and healthcare systems, and long-term care facilities. We also have a few other types of institutions that don't fit in one of those categories but are still interested in participating, and we welcome those folks also. So if you choose to participate, there are a number of benefits. First, it's a way for you to see and track your local purchasing and have all your information in one place. You also get access to that statewide network of other food service buyers, researchers, farmers, vendors, distributors, other people who care about increasing local food purchasing in Michigan. And then the other really key perk revolves around our featured foods. So each year, the Cultivate Michigan campaign chooses 4 new Michigan foods to feature, one for each season of the year. And we put together some really nice full color posters that you can hang in dining areas. Also put out purchase guides that have information on how to actually source those products from Michigan, all the way down to the pack size and item codes from a number of different vendors. And then those guides also include a number of institutional scale recipe ideas to help you incorporate those featured foods into your menu. Another benefit I just want to mention is the opportunity to become part of and contribute to the movement of shifting our food system to really prioritize investing in local agricultural economies and making healthy food accessible to everyone. So already we know that the 40 institutions who are participating in the campaign to date impact more than 100,000 meals across the state on a daily basis, and we're just getting started. So I think Cultivate Michigan is really an opportunity for your institution, not only to track progress for your own sake, but an opportunity for all of us to collectively track our progress. And as we do that, we'll be better and better able to make the case for investing in and supporting local purchasing efforts, because we'll have that ability to quantify the extent of local purchasing that's happening, and then calculate the impact that's having. So just know that as you track your own local purchasing, you're also, I really think, in a real way, paving the way for other institutions more and more to do their own local sourcing. So talking about the featured foods, what we want to do, of course, through this campaign is encourage and support increased purchasing of Michigan foods across the board. But we know that sometimes it can be hard to know where to start. So the featured foods are a starting framework for local purchasing. They're products that we know are available in Michigan and are deliberately chosen so that there's something available throughout the year. So you can think of the featured foods kind of like a roadmap for increasing local purchasing. In 2016, you'll see on the screen the 4 foods that we're featuring, which are kale, carrots, potatoes, and cherries, particularly dried and frozen cherries. And then we also continue to put out the resources for the foods we featured in the previous years so that we can keep growing and adding to the list of specific items that we are calling attention to and providing encouragement to source. So here is an example of some previous featured food materials. This is winter squash from last fall. And we put together posters like these in different sizes that you can put in your food service area to help promote Michigan products, help promote what your institution is doing to source and serve local food. These are a couple pages from the purchase guide for kale. So these guides, as I said, include sourcing information. We also have some tips for preparation and storage and recipe ideas. Again, the specific information about where to procure those foods and specific item codes. So that's some of the resources that come along with participating in the campaign. The other big piece of this program, of course, is tracking your local purchases. And that's important on our end because we're interested in tracking progress towards that goal in the charter of 20% by 2020. But we hope that it's really valuable information for you as well in your institution as you try to increase your local sourcing. So the main tracking piece of the campaign is quarterly surveys. And these are, of course, 4 per year, covering 3-month time spans. So these surveys ask about purchasing from Michigan and overall, both of the featured foods, and then also more generally across all of your food purchasing by major category. So the information that you put in then becomes visible to you on your dashboard. It's not shared publicly at all, except in aggregate form, but you yourself will be able to see your purchases reflected in an individual dashboard for your institution. Then the other data tracking piece we have is a baseline survey on an annual basis, and that's a shorter survey, but we use that to help gather some baseline information about the featured foods. So when we introduce a new set of featured foods, we want to understand what the current purchasing levels are of those foods, and that will help us track the impact that the campaign is having. So fundamentally, it's a way for institutions to then request purchase data from vendors and enter it into these surveys and have it all be summarized into a dashboard. And here's a snapshot of what that dashboard could look like.
Yeah,
this screenshot is showing the overall purchases by category. So that's the overview, and I'm going to turn it now to Megan to walk through the sign-up process.
Yeah. See how to flip this over.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay. All right, can everybody, it jumped in the first slide, so sorry everyone. Yeah, so looking at the sample of the dashboard, and you see it's broken out into those categories, but that's what that asked about. So knowing now what the program is, how you can participate and what you get out of it, you think maybe you want to sign up? So I'm actually going to walk you through the process right now, which is pretty straightforward. So the first step to making an account is to go to cultivatemichigan.org and click on the Join Now button right in the middle of the page, which is circled in red. And that'll take you to the registration page where you can create an account. So on the registration page, it will ask you to make a username and password and to enter your name, the name of your institution, and a valid email. And we'll also ask for a phone number and mailing address so that we can send you those materials. And no identifiable information of yours will be shared publicly. There is the option of at least listing your institution's name among our participating institutions so that you sort of get credit even on our homepage for being among those who are participating. And you're only going to create one account for each institution. So if you're working with a team of people who will all need access to the account for tracking and data entry, you will need to share that login information with the whole team so they can all have access. So you would want to pick one login that everyone would use. And then once you've done that and put in your information, you want to click Create New Account at the bottom of the page. So after you submit, we'll review your new account request, and ideally within 48 hours, you'll get an email back informing you that your account's been approved. So now you're ready to log back into Cultivate Michigan and fill out the profile and really get started. So even once you have an approved account, you're not truly into the system until you have completed that profile. That's what allows you to access the surveys, to see the dashboard, and to start getting the printed materials in the mail. So if you go back to that same site, www.cultivatemichigan.org, and click on Institution Login, which is near the top of every page, then you can enter the username and password that you chose when creating the account and click Login. And on the first login, the system will prompt you immediately to complete your profile. And that's what you'll need to fill out before you can get to the dashboard and the other available surveys. And the profile is a one-time survey. Once you've done it once, you're in, although you can go back and update your information later if it changes. So one thing at the very beginning, when you get started filling out the survey, you may need to take a minute to figure out how you want to structure your account. Because if your institution is just one facility or just one food service program, it's really simple that you just fill out the profile with your institution's name, the one you put in when you had created the account, and then you'll answer the survey questions based on the data for your facility. But if you're responsible for multiple food service programs, either say a health system that has multiple sites, or if you're a school food service director who manages food service for multiple school districts, then you get to make a choice. So you can either fill out a single profile with the information for the broadest institution, for like the whole health system. And if you choose that option, you'll use the same institution name from when you created the account, and you'll put in the answers for the profile and for all future purchases that will be the aggregated information for the whole system combined together. The other option, if you want to be able to track separately, if you're doing food service for 2 school districts and you want to be able to look at the information for each district separately, then when you go to your profile, start out by choosing 1 to begin with and complete the entire profile with the information for that 1 institution, for that 1 district or 1 healthcare site, and fill in all the remaining questions specifically for that facility. And go ahead and finish the profile and submit it, and then you'll be taken to your dashboard. And on the dashboard, there's a link to, that says add another institution. And so you would then click that link and repeat that process for the remaining facilities that you want to track separately. So, and be specific when you're listing the name of each facility to account for location or whatever will help keep separate which one is which. And if you choose that option to have multiple profiles within your account, then in the future, you'll fill out separate reports on food purchases for each facility that has its own profile. The profile asks the following information. Hopefully, it's all things that are pretty readily available. You shouldn't have to do a lot of digging to get it. Your name and address, or the contact persons, which is ideally going to be the food service director or buyer. The type of institution you are, whether you're a school district or an early childhood education. It'll ask about the number of meals served by your food service program on an average day. Ask whether you have self-operated food service or if you use a food service management company. The general requirements that you have for your vendors, just around if you require any food safety certifications or certain insurance, and whether you've purchased local foods in the past. When you're filling out this profile and any other survey in the Cultivate Michigan site, you can use the Save button at the top of every single page to save the data that you've entered. And that'll let you exit the survey and come back later to complete it if you want. If you do that with the profile and save it partially complete, then the next time you log in, the system will prompt you to finish the profile before you can proceed. So you need to complete the profile and make sure to click the Submit button on the last page to see your dashboard. And the dashboard will be arranged exactly like that slide from earlier on, with all of the links to the surveys down the right-hand side. So when your profile's done, we'll make sure you're added to the list to start receiving Cultivate Michigan materials, and you'll have access to the dashboard so you can start reporting purchase data and seeing your process. So I think that covers the main pieces we wanted to make sure to cover today. So we are then going to stick around to answer questions, and we hope you'll choose to go forth and report after that. And the image on the right now, that's from our progress page. So that shows how many places are currently participating, which is a really significant potential impact. And if you choose to sign up, then you can help add to that by choosing to track your purchases and being listed on the website. You're really helping to build movement across the state to collectively show progress in supporting local purchasing and show the impact that it's having and to move those efforts forward. So were there any questions that came in? No?
No questions yet. So feel free to type questions questions into the chat box, or if you're on the phone line and want to just ask a question, feel free. I think I see one current Cultivate Michigan member who's on the line who's probably done most of these steps to date. So if there are additional questions about data entry and collection that we can help with, we're also happy to answer those questions now as well.
This is Catherine. I'll just chime in that if there are no questions, that just shows that this is a, we really want to keep this simple and short and show you it's a really straightforward process to sign up. And we left extra time in this scheduled hour intentionally so that you could have time to log into Cultivate Michigan right now and set up your account if you haven't already done so.
And if you get into the process and realize you're running into trouble or you have some questions, once you're underway, you can definitely send an email. And specifically to me, if you want help with the data tracking and navigating the website, my email, which I should have put on the slideshow probably, but is THOM1306@anr.msu.edu. And if you get a hold of me, I will do everything that I can to help sort out whatever you bumped into, because we really want to make this as straightforward a process as possible for the people who are participating.
And we will make a recording of today's presentation available. So if you have friends or colleagues who you think might be interested, as soon as that's posted to the web, we'll send out a follow-up email to everyone who signed up for the webinar today. So feel free to share that recording with others. And then when we send out that follow-up email, we can also provide Megan's email address, as she said she's available for questions or troubleshooting, and then a link to the Cultivate Michigan website.
Yeah.
All right, so I don't see any questions coming in, so feel free to add them there, but otherwise we'll let you all go for the day, go about your business. And Pete, in particular, if you have any specific questions beyond this info, then stay on the line and we're happy to answer them. Thank you all for joining today.
Yeah.
Thank you, presenters, Catherine and Megan.